that fans they're voting with their money, their pocketbooks right now. That they're not entertained by this brand of basketball. Sophie Cunningham, guys, she was the light of our life tonight. She went absolutely berserk, particularly in the fourth quarter. I do want to bring this up. When Brittany Sykes got hurt,
almost no one could have predicted this dramatic turnaround. Not the analysts, not the coaches, and certainly not the countless critics who spent months insisting that CaitlinClark's style would never translate successfully to the WNBA level. Yet now, a completely different reality is unfolding right before everyone's eyes. The Indiana Fever are stacking wins, CaitlinClark is delivering another dominant performance after another, and the league has rewarded her by naming her Player of the Week. Suddenly, many of the voices that once questioned every aspect of her game have gone noticeably silent. But even that isn't the most shocking development. What happened after the final buzzer may have changed the entire narrative. While fans were busy celebrating another Fever victory, social media users began noticing something unexpected, something that instantly shifted the conversation in a completely new direction. For months, the debate remained the same. Was CaitlinClark the problem, or was the system around her holding everything back? No one could reach a clear answer. Every game sparked a fresh debate. Every debate generated new headlines, and every headline fueled another wave of controversy. Then came the performance that nobody, regardless of their opinion, could possibly ignore.
When CaitlinClark has that basketball in her hand, the best player in the league, the best point guard in the league, hands down, it ain't close, it ain't nothing to talk about. CaitlinClark with another double-double, 21 points, 14 assists, as she did her part to secure a victory for the Indiana Fever. She also contributed 5 rebounds, but the shooting was awful. And I'm going to be real, Caitlin, mama, I need you to make shots. I need you to make shots. CaitlinClark didn't hit her first 3 until late in the fourth quarter. She was 1 of 8 from 3, 5 of 15 from the floor. Okay, off shooting nights happen. She shot nearly 50% last week, nearly 40% from 3, while she became Player of the Week. But hey man, we got high expectations. I need Cece to make shots, but this was still a quality game. We're gonna get into the clock.
She finished the night with 21 points, 14 assists, and complete command of everything happening on the court. It was the type of performance that leaves no room for excuses, forcing doubters to stop talking and finally pay attention to what was unfolding. That was the moment the entire conversation shifted, because this wasn't simply another victory or another impressive box score. This was proof. Clear proof that the version of the Indiana Fever fans had been waiting to see for months might finally be emerging at exactly the right time. And according to supporters, that's the reason emotions are reaching a boiling point right now. The second Clark began playing with freedom and confidence, the entire offense transformed before everyone's eyes. The tempo felt faster, the ball movement looked sharper, the confidence throughout the roster seemed stronger, and the results immediately started reflecting those changes. Suddenly, the same team that appeared frustrated and stagnant just a few weeks earlier began looking like a legitimate threat. A very dangerous threat that nobody can afford to overlook anymore.
No, she ended the game the other day shooting the lights out from 3. She shot the lights out from 3 in this game. And this is how last year started, when Sophie Cunningham went on about a 6-week tear that absolutely contributed to this team somehow, some way making the playoffs last year. It was Sophie Cunningham. If you go back and look at her three-point shooting last year for about 6 weeks, she went bananas. Well, it looks like we're starting that all over again. By the way, let's just keep it real. I brought it up during this game. I posted it early on. Until Sophie went absolutely bananas with three-pointers tonight, this crowd was dead. This crowd was not fired up in the least bit. Here we go. CaitlinClark right here, splitting the D. Let's check it out. Let's check it out right there to Monique Billings. And look, CaitlinClark had 14 assists tonight. You know, at one point I thought Caitlin Clark had a chance to get 20 assists tonight. No kidding. Can we have an uncomfortable conversation about the fact that it's time for Sophie to start over Lexi Hull? There, I said it. I said it out loud. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, but I said it. Sophie Cunningham. Let's check it. Let's check it right here. Caitlin out to Sophie, one side step, boom, knocked it down. Beautiful. And she would just keep knocking them down. Let's go.
On the layup, Fever.
Caitlin again to Sophie. Boom, knocked it down again. Sophie was on a tear, and she showed it right here.
Then another important piece of the story began taking shape. Sophie Cunningham stepped into the spotlight because every winning streak builds confidence, and once confidence starts growing, it has a way of changing everything around a team. Fans quickly began discussing the energy surrounding the Fever, the chemistry between players, the trust developing on the court, the belief inside the locker room, and whether this was finally the team everyone expected to see before the season even began. At the same time, another name started gaining attention everywhere: Amber Cox. Because executives pay close attention to winning. They notice momentum, they recognize progress, and they certainly take notice when a single player appears to transform the trajectory of an entire franchise. That's exactly why fans suddenly became fixated on one major question. How much of this success is truly connected to Caitlin Clark's style of basketball? According to supporters, the answer is becoming more difficult to dismiss with every passing game. The Fever are winning, the offense is exploding with confidence, the crowd is fully engaged, and the impact of those changes is becoming impossible to ignore.
On social media, not who made the damn half-court shot, because this Indiana Fever team misses entirely too many layups. Caitlin Clark could have had 20 assists today if people made layups. Aaliyah Boston smoked the layup. Lexi Hall smoked the layup. Sophie Cunningham smoking layups. I mean, people smoking layups. Michaela Timpson smoking layups. Like, the layup thing is getting very, very ridiculous. Straight up, it's getting very, very ridiculous, man. We got to get into Sophie Cunningham. Blonde Bomber. Sophie Cunningham is still on fire from Connecticut, guys. Sophie Cunningham got on a heater in Connecticut, went on an 11-0 run to close out the Connecticut Sun, and she stayed on that heater today off the bench in 24 minutes. Sophie Cunningham was 8 of 11 from the floor, 6 of 7 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. She had 6 rebounds and poured in 24 points off the bench. Sophie was on fire. She didn't miss her first shot until like damn near fourth quarter. Sophie Cunningham was on fire. Defense on point, making every three damn near. Sophie Cunningham is definitely providing that spark, and that punch off the bench offensively that the Indiana Fever need, because let's be real, Raven Johnson can't score off the bench. Maisha Hines-Allen isn't a scorer off the bench. Michaela Timpson can't score off the bench. We don't have no bench scoring. So it's like, if Sophie Cunningham does not score for us off the bench, we're not getting points off the bench, guys. That's just the reality of the situation with this Indiana Fever roster. Now, Maisha Hines-Allen went out. She got hit in the face. Blood was everywhere. I thought the refs was absolute garbage. They was dog crap in this game. Maisha Hines-Allen gets hit in the face. Blood everywhere. No whistle. Caitlin Clark getting hit. First 3 drives of the game. No fouls, no whistles. The refs, I thought y'all was supposed to be better. I thought y'all was supposed to call more fouls, bro. This is kind of crazy. The refs was trash. Caitlin Clark is getting fouled nonstop. You know, Caitlin Clark, you got to make your free throws. You missed 4 free throws today. I don't know what happened. But that does not need to happen again. But the Indiana Fever took care of business. Marina Mabry did try to go on a flurry in the second and third quarter. I think she had 11 in the second quarter. She finished the game with...
Now the numbers are rising. The wins are starting to pile up, and the entire conversation surrounding the Indiana Fever is changing faster than anyone expected. What once felt like endless criticism has suddenly turned into genuine attention, And many fans believe the most exciting part is that this may only be the beginning. Because if CaitlinClark is already producing performances like this while the team is still developing chemistry, what happens when every player becomes completely comfortable within the system? What happens when the timing becomes sharper, the spacing becomes cleaner, and the offense starts operating at an even higher level? What happens when the trust between teammates grows stronger with every game and the confidence inside the locker room reaches another level entirely? Those are the questions creating concern across the league right now. Opposing teams are no longer focused on whether Clark can succeed at this level. Instead, they're beginning to wonder just how dominant this team could become if everything continues moving in the same direction. Every game seems to reveal another layer of growth, another sign of progress, and another reason for supporters to believe something special may be developing. The ball movement looks more fluid, the decision-making appears more confident, and the entire team is playing with a level of energy that was missing earlier in the season. That's why fans keep pointing to the same conclusion. This isn't just about one player putting up impressive numbers. It's about the effect those performances are having on everyone around her. When Clark pushes the pace, the offense becomes more dangerous. When she creates opportunities, her teammates gain confidence. And when confidence starts spreading throughout an entire roster, the results can become difficult to stop. That's what makes this recent stretch so important. The Fever aren't simply winning games. They're starting to establish an identity. They're beginning to look like a team that understands how it wants to play and believes it can compete with anyone. And according to many supporters, that's the development that should have the rest of the league paying very close attention. Because if this version of the Fever is real, and if the chemistry continues improving at its current pace, then the ceiling may be much higher than anyone imagined just a few weeks ago. The biggest surprise isn't that CaitlinClark is succeeding. The biggest surprise is that she's succeeding in the exact way critics repeatedly claimed she never could. The pace, the passing, the court vision, the offensive creativity, everything that was once questioned is now becoming the foundation of the team's success. And as more victories arrive and the confidence continues growing, that reality is becoming impossible for anyone to ignore.